As part of efforts to improve the firepower of infantry units of the Philippine Marine Corps (PMC), it has earmarked plans to procure man-portable heavy weapons which would allow infantry units to punch above its weight. While the Philippine Marines already made known its intention to acquire rocket-propelled grenade launchers under its Squad Rocket Launcher Light acquisition project, which is currently ongoing, another project has not yet been mentioned to the public. This project has already been posted in Max Defense's AFP Modernization Projects portal under the Philippine Navy section for several months now, but has not yet been discussed. We are talking about the Philippine Navy's Marines Multi-Purpose Bunker Defeat Weapon Acquisition Project, which is a Horizon 2 phase priority project under the revised AFP Modernization Program. The Philippine Marines has been using 40mm grenade launchers and 90mm recoilless rifles as its mainstay heavy weapons in the squad level and company level, respectively. The 40mm grenade launchers proved to be ineffective in certain situations, including against armored units, entrenched units, and against enemy troops both in the open and in structures. This is the reason why the Philippine Marines will augment it with the introduction of RPG-7 type weapons. Meanwhile, the 90mm recoilless rifles are now obsolete, with many alternatives in the market available which have more firepower, more munition options, and are lighter for the small Asian-bodied Filipino soldier. This means a replacement for these weapons is being processed. It is obvious from the start that the Philippine Marines works very closely with its counterparts from the US Marine Corps, USMC, and even pattern many of its capabilities with its US counterpart. While the USMC does not use RPGs, they do use something else with similar or even greater effect. The Philippine Marines was after a bunker-defeating weapon that is reusable, capable of accurate fire at more than 350 meters range, and can be used for secondary purpose against armored vehicles and others. This is the reason why the Philippine Marines is not looking at disposable systems like the M141 Bunker Defeat Munition, BDM, which is also known as Shoulder-Mounted Assault Weapon, disposable SMAW-D, and the modern variants of the M72 Light Assault Weapon, LAW. The PMC also preferred to have a weapon that is compatible to what the US Marine Corps used to allow US assistance in training, or even in munition supply in cases of emergency. The US Marines has been using the Namo Defense Mk.153 Shoulder-Mounted Assault Weapon SMAW against structures and bunkers, and against light armored vehicles. And the USMC has brought these weapons to the Philippines several times during joint exercises with the Philippine Marines. It is reusable, with rocket munition being loaded at its rear. As early as 2014, the Philippine Marines announced its intention to acquire the SMAW based on the USMC's Mk.153 Mod-0 SMAW weapon, as part of the Horizon 1 phase of the revised AFP modernization program. But the finalized version of Horizon 1 priority projects did not include the SMAW, and this was also true when the second list of Horizon 1 phase acquisition list was released. No SMAW on both acquisition lists. It was only during the formulation of the Horizon 2 phase priority projects that the acquisition of weapons similar to or equal to SMAW was again raised up under the Philippine Navy's Multi-Purpose Bunker Defeat Weapon Acquisition Project. The Mk.153 SMAW was developed originally by McDonnell Douglas Aeronautics Company, later on by Tally Defense, now known as Namo Tally, based on the Israeli-made B-300 rocket launcher from Israel Weapons Industries. The US Marines first introduced the SMAW in 1984. The original Mk.153 Mod.0 SMAW launcher weighs around 7.54 kilograms, and 13.39 kilograms when loaded with rocket ammunition. While it has a maximum range of 1,800 meters, its effective range is placed between 250 to 500 meters. Among the munitions it can fire are the Mk3 Mod-0 encased high-explosive dual-purpose HEDP rocket, the Mk6 Mod-0 encased high-explosive anti-armor HEAA rocket, the Mk7 Mod-0 common encased practice rocket, the Mk80 Mod-0 encased novel explosive NE rocket, and the Mk217 Mod-0 spotting rifle cartridge. Plus the Noval explosive NE. A newer version called the Mk. 153 Mark II SMAW-II Serpent was introduced to the U.S. Marine Corps in 2018, and replaced the 9mm spotting rifle and optics with a more modern electronic modular ballistic sight (MBS) made by Raytheon. This decreased the weight of the SMAW-II over the original SMAW to just 5.3 kilograms. Saab Bofors M3E1 Carl Gustaf 84mm recoilless rifle. The M3E1 M4 is a lighter, shorter variant of the M3 MAAWS, which was what the Philippine Army and Philippines Marines evaluated in the past. It would be remembered that the both services found the older M3 MAAWS to be far heavier than the RPG-7 of the SMAW, not to mention being a more expensive weapon system, both launcher and munition, which held to both services favoring the RPG-7 family. The M3E1 M4 is 6.6 kilograms, has an effective range of 350-500 meters using standard ammunition against moving and fixed targets, and up to 1,300 meters for air burst and high explosive anti-personnel rounds. This is way beyond the maximum effective range of most of SMAW and SMAW-II munitions, which is maxed at 500 meters. The M3E1's barrel is good up to 1,000 rounds fired. The slightly heavier weight of the M3E1 or M4 versus the SMAW-II or even the original SMAW remains the biggest concern, especially for the smaller-bodied troops of the Philippine Marines. Max Defense believes that the Philippine Marines has not yet evaluated the new M3E1 MAAWS, which was said to be 3.4 kilograms lighter than the M3, although still 1.1 kilograms heavier than SMAW, and is a 2.5 inches shorter to allow easier use during military operations on urban terrain route, like those the AFP experienced in Marawi in 2017. The M3E1 also has more munition options, which includes anti-tank, bunker busting, anti-personnel, illumination and smoke rounds. It also has ammunition that can pierce through thick reinforced concrete bunker walls. It will depend now on the Philippine Marine Corps, since they are the end user for this weapon system. While Max Defense favors the Saab Bofors M3E1 Carl Gustaf MAAWS due to practicality, as it appears to the weapon that may outlast the SMAW-II in the US Marines, the Philippine Marines will still have the last say. It is also possible thought that should the US Marines replace the SMAW-II with the M3E1, there will be a large stock of SMAW-II launchers and ammunition that the Philippine Marines could request its American counterpart to sell or transfer. Weight-wise, the SMAW-II is friendlier to Filipino physique than the slightly heavier M3E1 Carl Gustaf. Meanwhile, if the Philippine Marines select the M3E1 or M4 Carl Gustaf, it allows continuous seamless interoperability with the US Marines, as they could provide assistance in terms of training, sustainment, and munition supply, especially during emergencies. Not to mention munitions that have longer range and is said to be easier to acquire than those of the SMAW or SMAW-II. So in the end, it really depends on how the Philippine Marines would be looking at these risks and opportunities. Nonetheless, both weapon systems are effective systems that would really provide the Philippine Marine Corps with added firepower, especially